Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a little bit, so I figured I would put up a quick video here. There's going to be more. We're in our construction game. There's a lot coming up here. I've been a little bit busy. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make a quick script here, and then I'll make a model. I'll upload it, and then I'll put a link to that model in the description of the video. So somebody was asking me about making a script that just when two parts collide, it does stuff. So that's basically what this is here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a rod constraint. It's actually pretty easy. So what we need is a part. We need two parts. Okay, and then we could just group these together as a model. And we can call this connect. Now, okay, there's going to be two parts to this, but anyways, it'll be really easy. So this part here is going to be the base, okay? And this part here is going to be the connect. So in the base, we want to insert an object, just a script, real quick script, okay? And then we don't want to tell it to wait, but we want to create a variable. We could say local, no, actually, we can say if hit. Let's see. Where do we go with that? Yeah, script.parent.touched. Okay, so we'll do that one. Say script.parent.touched. Connect function. All right, and then what we want to do in the function, we'll create the name hit, and then that way we can use it as a variable in the function. So we can say if hit.name is equal to, and then we'll just put it in here. What do we call it? Connect. Right? Then what do we want it to do? Okay, here we're gonna have to put a wait. All right. Then we want to say local. Let's see, rod equals instance.new, and then in the quotes we're going to say rod constraint. Okay, so now what we need to do is we just want to right click. We want to insert object. We want to insert a rod constraint because it's going to have properties that we want to read. It needs an attachment 0 and attachment 1, so that means each part needs to have an attachment. All right, so before it creates this rod constraint, we need to create the attachment. So it's going to create the rod constraint, and then what we need to say is we need to say rod dot attachment 0 equals, and then we could say instance dot new. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create an attachment inside the we could say script.parent, script.parent. So what it'll do is it'll create an attachment inside the base, and then we could say rod dot attachment 1 equals, we could say instance.new. So we're going to create a brand new attachment, and then this one is going to be, we could say hit. So inside here, it's going to do that. And then we could say, what other properties do we have? The color, the thickness, and is it visible? So we could say rod dot color equals, we can say brick color dot new, and we can say yellow flip flop, and then we could say rod dot thickness equals 2. It will be able to see it. And what can say rod dot visible equals true, and we can also say rod dot length equals 5. All right, so what it's going to do is it's going to do that. Really, so what I'm getting at, this could be anything. This could be a weld, this could be a rope, this could be whatever. And then what we're doing is it's going to create the attachments that we need. So we're simulating the entire thing. So in earlier videos you saw, I would put an attachment in here and I would label it in the code. And I would put an attachment in here and I would label it in the code. But now we're beyond that and we just want to say, okay, you know what, when the two parts connect, let's just do everything with the code. And that way it's a little bit easier for the, it's just easier. We don't have to keep track of attachments and names and anything like that. So now we need to test it. So let's anchor this part here. And now that part should drop onto that part. Here, let's play the game, see what happens. Nothing happened. Oh, you know why? No, what? Let's see. Why did nothing happen? Well, I had to put this here. So we put the weight in here, and then that way, otherwise it'll keep, okay, then we'll probably have to say script not enabled equals false. So we do this also, so that way it only makes one. Otherwise it's going to make like 100 rod constraints. And then what we want to do, I guess we need to name it. So we'll say rod dot name equals sure, why not? Alright, let's see if that works. So nothing happened. Oh, the script disabled itself, but it didn't create the attachment. Oh, you see here? Because I'm not telling it where to make the rod constraint. You see that? Instance.new rod constraint. So what we need to do is we need to then say, okay, where are we gonna create it? We want it to be in script.parent. So meaning it's gonna be in the base. There we go. That's exactly why we had to tell it where to put the rod constraint. I should also tell it to print. Like, when we're doing this little, there we go. There we go. Now we can see the rod constraint. There it is. It's huge. I'm just doing that just so we can visually see it. And then now if we go into connect, there is our rod constraint right there. So now what we want to do is we want to get rid of the rod constraint. So then what we can also do is we can say so we need to think of two things. If this is on a crane, this would be the hook, okay? And then this would be the basket. Understand? So then this would come down, and as soon as it connects to the basket, it creates the rod constraint and it goes up and down. So what we then need to do is in here, we need to create a button, which is then going to get rid of the rod constraint. Or we can create the rod inside the object that we hit, and then inside that object we can have a button which disconnects. Okay, so like for example, if this was say a truck and a trailer, you know, this would be the ball hitch on the truck, and this would be the hitch on the trailer. So it's just wherever you want that button to be. Do you want to be able to disconnect it wherever? So in this case, we're going to put it on the hook. So we need to go right click. We need to insert now. Insert an object. We need a proximity prompt. Okay, this would be the easiest way. This would be the easiest way to make this work. Okay, and then the action text will be disconnect, just like that. And then we will say, if we say, so now if you say requires line of sight, you have to be close to see it when it turns on. So we want to turn it off like that. And then we are going to enable false. All right, so before we disable the script, we want to say script dot parent dot disable dot enabled equals true. All right, now inside the proximity prompt, we're going to insert object a script, and this is just going to be code for the button. All right, so we say local button equals script dot parent, and then we can say button dot trigger ended, sure, connect function. Now in this case, I'm going to say player. All right, now if you want to, you can give the player a reward. This is where you can do all that kind of stuff, right? We can connect to the data store if we want to. We just need, oh, it's kind of going, it's kind of going, it's kind of going. All right, there we go. So I'm not confusing everybody. Okay, so in order to connect this button to the data store, right, we need our code, just like that. And now it's connected to the data store. And now if we wanted to give XP or a reward or anything like that, we just go into our script, and then we can add that in there when the player activates the button. So in this case, all we're going to do is we're going to destroy the weld. So what we're going to do is we're going to say local, let's say weld equals script dot parent. I'm going to say find first child, and then what we're going to do is we're going to find. We need to find this name, rod base. All right. And then we just need to say if weld, if weld, then, yeah, weld, I like to say remove, just like that. So I'm going to leave this button like that. That way it's not going to have any effect on the code. So it activates obviously once they're connected. So if I go over here, there should be it should be able to see the button. Yeah, there we go. Disconnect. Except rod base. Let's see. Oh no, that's inside the button. Whoops. We want to say script.parent.parent. That's right. Otherwise, it's going to look for the rod inside the button. It's going to say, hey, there's nothing inside this button except for this script. Hey, there we go. And then what we can do is, okay, so now that that works, what we could then do is we could say button dot enabled equals false, and then we could say script dot parent dot parent dot show in Explorer. Oh, let's change this to action. Dot actions dot enabled equals true. So there we go. So then once you disconnect it, it will re-enable the script. which will allow you to then reconnect to something else. So you can use it over and over and over again to connect two things together and to disconnect them. So I hope this video helps. In this particular instance, it's a rod. This could be a rope. This could be anything, right? And then we disconnect it. There we go. Look at that. And we're ready to go again. Cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to upload this as a model. And I'll get the link for it right here. We will say save export. We're going to save it to Roblox. And we're going to call it connect objects. All right, so description will be I don't know, two objects with code. When they touch, they will create a rod. You can edit the code and change the connection type to anything. Perfect. Okay. And then mouse is not working. Asset category, we will say model. Perfect. I will save that. Cool. And then I can just go here. And then we need to say distribute on the creator store. And I'll save changes. Free assets are fair use for training, for AI training with Roblox. Hey, there you go. So if you upload anything for free to Roblox, they can take it with their AI, and you can't do anything about it if it's free. I love it. That's kind of, I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna open that in the creator store, and there it is. So what I'll do is I'll put a link to this in the description of the video. Use it. Check out the code. You've seen the code. It's simple. What does it do? When two parts touch, it creates a rod. This is the length. So play with it. Play around with it. This is how, like I say, this could be, for example, a ball hitch. Like you connect two trailers together. I don't know. You want to weld two objects together, because you can change this from a rod constraint to a weld. And then you just need part 1 and part 2. And then when the two parts touch, they could instantly be welded together, and that might work for something else. Let's say we're going to be using this a lot. So this type of stuff, we're going to be using a lot because it's quick and it's simple. And whoops, that's again. We can do this with anything. We can create a motor, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to get into that a little bit more into this video. It took me a little bit. I wanted to plan it out a little bit here. Yeah, because there's going to be a little more simulation, and that's going to help us do a lot more things, you know, because I find that when you work with the constraints, it can just be really frustrating. Testing them and trying to set them up, the rotation and all that kind of stuff. And when we do it with the code, we can simulate everything, and it's perfect. Okay, so that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. And be sure to check out the model on Roblox and add it to your game. Bye for now.